Okay. I can't hear anything, but you guys hear?
It doesn't sound like it's amplifying it, but we can hear you.
It's good.
Turn it all the way up. Everyone in the back of the class, quick.
Let's open in prayer. Lord, we just ask for your help as we look at the truths in your word and share experiences about parenting. I just pray that that through your Spirit we would learn what you would have for us tonight. We just thank you for this time to discuss this and just ask for your help. In Jesus' name, amen. What's going on? Oh, what did I do? Parenting. Okay, parenting, what is the goal? When we talk about this, we're like, what is the desired outcome for parenting? What do we want to get out of it? We're going to camp here just for a little while. And I want you guys, we're going to break up into groups, and I want you to come up with suggestions. And in every group, I want somebody to have access to the internet. And you are going to... You should have access right now.
Is North Star student have internet available? Because it was Wi-Fi only for all
Should
of
be
the
good.
3 to
7 to 9, yeah.
Well, the 3 to 5 today had it on, but it didn't have internet.
Oh. We will know soon. Let's do this. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do, why don't we have you 4, and let's have, you want to go, you 4. Where's Melanie? There she is. Melina? Sorry, forgive me. And Jalen, would you go over here with Melina Hagen, and then would you two team up with the 3 back here? So Jacob, Cameron, Cohen, Audrey, and Bridget. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4 groups. One person in the group needs to go to menti.com, menti.com, and use the code and start typing in answers. And we're going to give you guys 5 to 10 minutes, but I want, and when you type in your answers, you'll see them on the screen. Well, what do you think the goal is or the desired outcome? What do you guys want? What should come out of parenting? menti.com. Code is 14915332.
Everybody see that?
Menti.com, yes. We need at least one person from each group. You can have more if you like. But once you're there, talk as a group and start typing in multiple things or multiple words or characters that you would want kids to have when they're done with the parenting cycle. Wait, has anybody entered a word yet? You guys can hit the back button and type in more words. I'd like to see a lot of words up here.
I can't be trusted.
How come they're not popping up, you guys? Did you guys enter words that are not up there? Loving and selfless, or enter more responses? Okay, think more like characteristics of your grown children. What do you want? What characteristics do you want them to have? Like godly would be a good one. Like the more often one word is entered or the same trait is entered, the bigger it will be on the screen. So the size of the words is like the number of responses.
How do I add words? Oh, and just speak words? No, how to add words.
Adult, you guys in the back can put words up here too if you'd like.
For those of us who are slow, can we have a password channel?
1491
Free child labor.
Someone put it straight. I did that. That was my idea as well. Thank you, Riley. I know it was you.
Okay, 2 more minutes. 2 more minutes and we'll move on.
You're gonna put it in.
Okay. Stay in your groups, but eyes up here. Straight and also strate, straight as well.
Strat. I like the strat.
Okay, we're going to come back to this and talk about this in a little while. But what I want to do now is talk about and look at what the Bible has to say about parenting. And we're kind of going to do it in just a little bit of a game format. And so what I would like you to do is No, you're just going to tell it to us. We're going to call on you. So, and you can use any resources that you want.
Is this a verse of anything up there, or just like scripture?
It doesn't just just anything to do with parenting. It doesn't have to do with anything on the board yet. We're going to come back to that. Let's start here with this group.
Do we have to have the reference, or can we just quote the verse?
We need the reference.
Do it first?
Yep.
I can say one?
Yep. Go.
Second Thessalonians, or no, First Thessalonians chapter 2, 7. But we prove to be gentle among you as a nursing mother tenderly cares for her own children. It's kind of someone.
Okay. Is that a parenting verse? We're going to give it to you, but it's really, really close. They're comparing a parenting action to a trait that we're supposed to use with other believers. Next group.
Proverbs 22:6. Train up a child in the way he should go, even when he is old, he will not depart from it.
Good. Proverbs 22:6. Back.
Psalm 127:3. Children too are a gift from the Lord. The fruit of the womb is a reward. So you can go watch children are born when one is young is like an arrow in the hand of a warrior.
Read all the way to 5.
How blessed is the man who has filled his quiver with them. He will not be embarrassed when contending with foes at the city gate.
Okay, everybody listen. Read those verses again. Go ahead. 3 to 5.
Children too are a gift from the Lord. The fruit of the womb is a reward. The children born when one is young are like arrows in the hand of a warrior. How blessed is the man who has his quiver full of them. He will not be embarrassed when contending with foes at the city gate.
Children are a reward. They're a gift from God. Okay, you guys.
Ephesians 6:4. Fathers, do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord.
Okay, group 1. To you guys.
Ephesians 6:3. Children, obey your parents in the Lord. This is right. Wait, is that?
That's already up there.
No, that's 4.
Okay, you guys.
We have the ones that are up there.
I got Proverbs 13:24.
Okay.
Whoever stirs the rod hates his son, but he who loves him is diligent to discipline him.
Okay.
I have the one that says, raise up a child in the way he should go, and when he's old, he will not depart from it. That's Proverbs 22:6. Oh, sorry.
Do you have another? Okay, you guys are out. Okay, read it.
I'm feeling that.
Fathers, do not provoke your children lest they become discouraged.
Wait, that's already Ephesians 6:4, isn't it?
No, that's Colossians 3:21.
Yeah.
But it's better when read in the King James Version. Want to hear it?
Yes.
Oh wait, no, it's not that. Oh wait, never mind. Sorry, not. There's one verse somewhere.
Okay, group 1. Okay, group, you guys still in? Group 2?
Deuteronomy 6:7. You shall teach them diligently to your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house and when you walk by the way.
Okay, and so group 2 and group 4 are still in. Group 4?
Proverbs 29:15. The rod of rebuke give wisdom, but the child laughs to himself and is shame to his mother.
29:16.
29:15.
Okay. Group 2?
Proverbs 3:12. For the Lord reproves him who he loves, and the father the son in whom he delights.
I don't think that's
Okay, what about Proverbs 19:18? 19:18. Discipline your son, for there is no hope. Do not set your heart on putting him to death.
Okay.
Wow. Intense.
You want to get intense? Do not, Proverbs 23:13 through 14. Do not withhold correction from a child, for if you beat him with the rod, he will not die. You shall beat him with the rod and deliver his soul from hell.
Spare the rod, spoil the child.
Did you get it written down?
Spankings? Oh, what?
Okay, team 2.
Proverbs 29:17. Discipline, what? 17.
Yeah.
Discipline your son, and he will give you rest. He will give delight to your heart.
It's good. You guys good? Okay.
I just have a feeling Casey's online.
He established a testimony in Jacob and appointed a law in Israel, which he commanded our fathers to teach to their children.
I'd say that sounds more like a.
He commanded the fathers to teach us to the children. I'll go with it. Yeah, we're good.
Exactly. I can't believe that was a question.
Psalm 78:5.
Group 2, how you doing?
Proverbs 22:15. Folly is bound up in the heart of a child, but the rod of discipline drives it far away from him.
Okay.
Does anyone have any? Kirsten.
Okay, let me get it. It's 1 Peter 5, verses 2 through 3. Let me get there. Okay, verses 2 through 3. Shepherd the flock of God that is among you, exercising oversight, not under compulsion but willingly, as God would have you, not for shameful gain, but eagerly, not domineering over those in your charge, but being examples to the flock.
Is that parenting or is that?
I think it counts because it says those under your charge. Children are under your charge. Counts. I think it flies.
No.
Hey, Rochelle.
Neutral third party.
But even then, you could argue that's more personal.
Okay, if they can have that one, then like there's so many verses that you can say.
It opens up the whole Bible if you go to general biblical principles.
Wait, but Gideon also has one if that one doesn't work.
Gideon, what do you got?
Genesis 18:19. Just a second. I can get it. Okay. For I have known him in order that he may command his children and his household after him, that they keep the way of the Lord, justice, according to Abraham, what he has done.
I think we're getting a little thin here.
Oh, come on.
This is not necessarily how to parent your kids. This is like a characteristic of a man if he's a good parent. Do you guys have another verse that we just? Okay, let's wrap this up. Excellent job. You guys, none of you have children, right? It's going to be a little while before you do have children. At least 9 months, yeah.
Mark,
So, the one thing that you're not going to remember, and we're going to go through 7 biblical principles of parenting, and then at the end, we kind of have our parenting hacks or parenting cheat codes. We're going to share 10 of those with you. Jacob, did you have a question?
Can we go back to our normal seats?
Yes, go back to your normal seat, please.
Jacob's being claustrophobic.
But the one thing that I want you to remember, because you're not going to remember a lot of the details of what we're going to talk about, the one thing that I want you to remember And you guys got maybe a quarter of the verses that have to do with parenting in the Bible. The one thing I want you to remember is the Bible has a lot to say about parenting and how to raise your kids. And so when you get to that stage, I just want you to remember that. What's the one thing I want you to remember?
The Bible has a lot to say about parenting.
Is that correct, Jeremiah? Did they answer that correctly? Okay, parenting is stewardship from God. What does that mean?
The computer disconnected.
Help. Parenting is stewardship from God. Raise your hand if you think you can comment on that. What does that actually mean? Melina?
I think it's very important to keep in mind going into parenting that the children are not yours. They are God's, and it is your responsibility, and you're accountable to God of how you raise them. But they are also individuals.
Yeah, children ultimately belong to God. Parents are entrusted to raise them. They are not owners. We're just stewards. Very good. I loved Psalms 127. You've already read this. But it says here, children are a heritage from the Lord. The NLT says children are a reward. They're a gift from God. And we're going to go through these a little fast because I want to get to the 10 in the end. Parents must teach God's word diligently. So I'd like you to think, if your parents have done this for you, can you give an example of how they did this? Nathan.
My mom quoted Colossians and Philippians to me most of my life. I did not know that, but it had a very positive effect on me.
Like individual verses out of those books?
Yeah, don't ask me on the spot which ones, but I know what they are now. When she says them, I'm like, wait a minute.
So she didn't read them out of the Bible, she quoted them from memory to you. Wow, that's modeling the faith. Nathan?
My parents had a lot of music that was like quoting the Bible, and then whenever we were fighting, they would just like hum the first few bars of that song, and then we would stop fighting.
So one thing I noticed about you is your biblical knowledge is great. You can't tell me that all of that wisdom that you have and knowledge from the Bible came from songs only. Was there other ways that they taught you?
They had a lot of like devotional time they stress and Bible memory, just like apps or various strategies of encouraging us to memorize Bible.
Cool. Any other examples?
I was ended up learning about pretty close to half the Bible. I think I counted growing up. So yeah, I do have a lot of Bible in my head.
Wow. That's good.
I'm pretty sure. No, that's actually an exaggeration, of course. But.
Been through at least half and know it. Yeah. Anybody else? Spiritual instruction is a central duty of parenting. There's a lot of things that we can teach our kids, but spiritual truths are very, very important. Are these verses on the board? Deuteronomy 6, you've got that one. Psalm 78. Sweet. Nice job, guys. So faith should be intentionally and continually taught. Let's just move on to the next one. What does this mean to you guys? Children must be trained, not left to themselves. If you don't teach your kids, they don't know it.
Yeah, Proverbs and all that, how it highlights the importance of like a level of discipline, and you cannot be disciplined when your kids can have them also up to themselves.
think we're referring to not only spiritual training, but regular training as well. And when they say not left to themselves, so if you don't take intentional time to train your kids as you're raising them, are they going to learn? They're going to learn stuff, right? They're going to learn stuff, but it's not going to be the stuff that you might want them to know. They need guidance and shaping. Is Proverbs 22:6? Yep. Train up a child in the way he should go. 22:15.
Yep, last one.
Oh, nice. Folly is bound up in a child's heart. Parenting requires intentional formation of character. Tracy and I, and we'll talk about ourselves, I don't want to, a little bit later, but we believe that this training is not just limited to spiritual things and practical things, but we took it a step further, and we thought it was our responsibility to teach our children. And so we homeschooled our kids. It's not for everybody, but that's what we felt called to do. Yay or nay, do you guys agree on this? Give me a thumbs up if you agree.
Yeah.
Thumbs down if you don't agree. So loving discipline, okay, it can mean a lot of different things, right? How about, let's take it one step further. Give me a thumbs up if you think this is physical discipline, like physical pain. Thumbs down if maybe there's...
Sideways thumb?
Okay.
I just don't understand.
You're saying what,
What do you mean by loving discipline? Are you meaning like understand it's necessary?
The way that it's administered.
Yeah.
this is in reference specifically to the verse you read, right? I'm trying to recall which one it was. Or just all three of those.
All three of those, yeah. So, and Tracy said that it's in the way you administer. Do you want to expound on that? I'll stand close so you can hear me.
No, I don't need the mic, I don't think. Just in the way that you choose to discipline your child is out of love and respect that they are an individual, but more importantly, your love and respect for who God is and how God would give you the guidance to lovingly show grace and mercy and boundaries and protection for that child.
I was misinterpreting. I understand it now. It's like it's a loving action discipline, not like person loving to discipline is kind of how I was reading it. And I was like, that's kind of a wild.
Yeah, when you're a parent and when you have kids and you have to discipline them, it is not enjoyable. It's very, very hard.
So discipline out of love.
The Proverbs 13.
Melina.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, Jennifer.
No, it's fine.
I'm just curious, and this is a genuine question. Do you believe it's possible to discipline a child without hitting them?
I personally, let me just say this, there's other ways to inflict physical consequences, and we're going to talk about this in our own parenting style in just a minute, other than hitting. But I do think that physical consequence is a necessary part of, like physical pain is a necessary part of discipline at a certain stage in the child's life.
Did you want to finish your thought?
Well, yeah, I was like, where do you draw the distinction between something that's factly stated in the Bible and wisdom literature? Like, whosoever spares the rod hates his son. That's a blank, that seems to be blank fact, but it's not necessarily true. Like, some people make the mistake of, like, not, and I mean, I guess it's a debate on whether it's a mistake or not, but I think that you should physically discipline your kid at a young age. You don't have to beat them, right? But, so like, I don't think it's like factually true that if someone doesn't spank their kid with a paddle, makes them hate their kid. So like, or do you think that's what it's saying?
I think the term hates his son is a term that your son is going to be, he's going to basically have a very, very, very hard time in life because you don't do this. So if you don't do this, you hate your son because you're causing them to, you're setting him up for failure for the rest of his life. Does that make sense? So I don't think it's necessarily like, I hate my son. It's just like you are doing your son a huge disservice if you do not discipline him. That's my interpretation. Any other thoughts on that?
I will add, like, spanking, I am a huge proponent of spanking, but like, it's not always necessary, but for me, compared to my siblings, I was not that stubborn, but there was times I needed the spanking, and I think that I would not be as good of a person, not that I'm not great.
And you're great right now, right?
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
If it wasn't for that discipline.
Yeah.
And I commend my parents.
Discipline is loving training, not anger or punishment for its own sake. Do you ever discipline out of anger? Audrey.
Well, I just wanted to comment that it's important to note that you can inflict pain to teach a lesson without hurting them. Like in sports, we always talk about like, are you hurt or injured? And it's way more of a big deal if you're injured because you need to take, action about that. But if you just cause some pain, you're not hurting them.
Yeah, no, there's spanking and beating is
Much different.
very, very different.
And I think that's the correlation between doing it out of love and doing it out of anger. And so if you're doing it out of love and you're not out of anger, your intention is not to hurt your child or to inflict hurt and permanent damage.
Yeah, it's a sensitive topic because there is abuse that goes on all over the place. And there's a lot of abuse that's happened to people in this room. And it's a fine line, and so it's very, very sensitive. But bottom line, I do believe that discipline is necessary for raising kids. What does this mean to you? How do you lead your children without provoking them?
A comment that I might have would be a huge part of this is that not punishing them or disciplining them when you are angry. Yeah, you're going to do it unfairly. Kids aren't stupid. You can tell.
Yeah, do not provoke your children to anger. Do not discourage them. Combine authority with gentleness and wisdom. Please share.
I'm just going to be talking about how I think spanking is good. But, like, one thing that I really hate, I don't think any of you will hopefully not struggle with this with your kids and your families. But I saw, my family spanked, but my aunts and uncles, they thought that was horrible. And they, my grandfather did it out of anger. And that is horrible. So they tried to get away from it. And something that they resorted to was yelling and threatening their kids and just provoking them to anger and putting them down. And it's like, that's so much worse. You're mentally punishing them versus like physical. You feel some shame, you feel some regret, and then dad says, I did this out of love because I want you to become a better person. That's the end. It's not, you did this, you're stupid.
Yeah, that's in a perfect world, you're absolutely right. So in the actual world, when you're disciplining your kids, most of the time you're pretty level-headed and you're calm and you're doing it out of love and not out of anger, but every once in a while you get mad. Have your parents ever been mad when they've disciplined you guys?
Mad.
Yeah, it may be justified, it might not be justified, but you just really have to work hard to control your emotions. This is a part of it. Children are commanded to obey parents. And you've heard that. We're supposed to honor our father and our mother. But as a parent, what does this mean to you? Well, yeah, we're supposed to still honor our father and mother even when we're parents, but as a parent, as you parent your children, how does this verse instruct the way that you parent?
That's a bad thing if they don't obey.
Yeah. Melina, did you want to add to that?
A little bit of a different thought.
Okay.
Kind of going in with the previous point, I think that it's very important that as a parent you understand that you have an obligation to your children. You are called to teach them and to guide them so that they can become functional, successful human beings that are adults. And so exercising your parental authority, abusing your parental authority, or not fulfilling your side of it. Like, for example, would be if you're not providing for your children, but you're demanding their respect as a parent, that's unbalanced. So there is a responsibility. It's not just, hey, you need to do what I said because I'm your dad. It's, hey, I'm providing for you, I'm protecting you, so return the respect with obedience. And it kind of has to be balanced. So as parents, there is an obligation to be carrying, to not necessarily earn respect, but deserve it.
Does God love us because we deserve his love? Are we supposed to love other people because they deserve our love? I agree with you to a point, and I understand that we have an obligation to our kids, but this command does not hinge on the parents' actions to their kids. We are supposed to honor and obey our parents, any lawful command, right, or honor them no matter if they're a deadbeat parents or not deadbeat parents. So, and I think that people use this as an excuse not to obey their parents a lot if they don't agree with them, especially as kids get older. So we just need to be careful with that, and that's a whole other topic. But for me, this instructs me, like when I'm a parent, we need to demand obedience from our kids. Our kids are supposed to obey our parents and honor them, and so as parents, we need to demand that from our kids. We need to make sure that they do that to us, especially when they're young. Does that make sense? Megan?
Give me an example of what that looks like in a loving way. Because sometimes the word demand is like, just obey me. So how would you do that in a loving way?
Well, in a non-loving way, if your child responds to you sarcastically or just very rudely and you get upset and you slap them across the mouth, that would be in a non-loving way. A loving way would be to confront them on the way that they're talking. Tracy, you want to expand on that?
I think my first mind goes to obedience is taught very, very young, right? I mean, it's like a 1-year-old wants to touch a light socket or something, and obedience would be out of protection for them, slap their hand, pinch their ear, whatever works, for that age group. I don't know if demand maybe is the right word. It's just out of protection. You are strongly encouraging and desiring for obedience for your child. Early on, it's out of safety and protection. Honestly, that's what it is for when they're really young, because they're young, they're learning, they're curious, and a lot of times their actions are foolish, mainly because of their age. But even as you're raising teenagers, they may not intentionally be disobedient to you, they're just foolish. And so there's a difference between demanding obedient respect and obedience and understanding your child and realizing that they're foolish. Do they still need to obey? Yeah, but you're just going to handle it differently. So the demand maybe isn't the real accurate word. It does suggest more authoritative obedience instead of obedience out of training a child's heart to obey because they love you and they respect you.
Maybe it's helpful just to put it in the inverse or the reverse. So don't allow disobedience.
So,
And some parents just are habitual, allowing their kids to be disobedient, and if a kid can't learn to obey their mom and dad, you can see, they can know, they can trust, that how can they learn to obey a God that they can't see?
Luke? So let me just ask this. I think we can all agree, and most people, like probably 95% of parents agree, that hey, kids come out better when you when you force them to obey you and when you discipline them lovingly. Well, why don't parents demand obedience or require obedience? Why don't parents discipline their kids? Why do they allow disobedience?
It takes work.
Yeah, I was gonna say, easier not to.
Yeah.
At the school, parents are doing anything, so it's easy, like they just don't do anything, it's easier for them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's easier not to. It's hard. It's hard work. It's hard. It's just hard mentally. It's hard emotionally. It's very, very hard work.
I think also if people have grown up in abusive homes, then the tendency can be to swing the other way of never wanting to hurt their child in any way, shape, or form. And so if you discipline them and they push back or they cry and they scream and it seems like, oh no, they're in pain, something's wrong, then they'll stop. That's just something I've noticed in counseling families. So there has to be this healthy balance of, like you're saying, disciplining in a loving way.
Sweet. Parents must model the faith. If you say one thing and act another way, it doesn't matter what you say. It does not matter what you say. Children learn most from what parents live. Faith is passed from grandmother to mother to Timothy. Proverbs 27, the righteous man walks in integrity. Yeah, example is huge. And let me just say, before we move on to what I hope to spend most of the time on, what happens if you do all this stuff perfectly? Does that guarantee that your children will have all the qualities that you listed on the board when we started?
This gives you a higher likelihood for it.
Higher likelihood, maybe, yeah.
I think it's important to keep in mind that, again, you're a steward and they're an individual person, and they will make their choices, and you can't take their choices on yourself. They have to take what you taught them and choose what they're going to do with it, ultimately. And you can't, number one, you can't blame yourself if they, as an adult, choose something else. And number two, you can't take every fault that they have. Like, I'm going to say for my example, if I make a mistake and my mom says, it's my fault, I didn't teach you, what does that mean to me? It means what I did didn't matter because it wasn't me, it was my mom's fault. So you have to be careful about that as well. You have to be aware that they are an adult, and once you've trained them, you've never owned them in the first place, you were a steward. And so when your job is done, you let them be an adult.
Yeah, very insightful. Thank you for sharing. Story of the prodigal son. The father in the story of the prodigal son equates to God, our Father. God was a perfect father, and yet in that story of the prodigal son, the son still turned away and he rebelled. He went his own way. Here's a summary verse. Yes, Andy.
I was just going to say, I've just seen so many amazing parents. So many amazing parents and their kids grow up in the light of the truth, and then the kid goes off and believes a lie and just goes off the rails. And that's not on mom and dad, that's on the kid. You can raise them in the truth, that doesn't mean they're never going to believe a lie. And so oftentimes they take what mom and dad just say, they just listen to mom and dad, they take for granted, and they hear some professor that they have never, they don't know his story, they don't know his background, and they just believe everything that guy says, hook, line, and sinker, and they throw off mom and dad's, 18 years of parenting. It's really sad. So.
Yeah, I hope that the end of those stories are the kid is like the prodigal son and he returns home.
That's our prayer. And I think for a lot of them, they do. It's a hard life.
It's a hard road.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, and as a parent, it's terrifying. Not a verse, Parents steward children for God by teaching His Word, training their character, disciplining in love, leading with wisdom, requiring obedience, and modeling genuine faith. It's kind of a summary of the 7 biblical principles of parenting. I have, and this is not bad, nothing in this statement is bad necessarily. But if this is all you did as a parent, what would your children be like?
Happy.
They'd be happy. If this was all you did for your kids as a parent, what would your children be like? Yeah, because they'd be hungry for sure. There's no food in here. You're not meeting their physical needs. Audrey? Or emotional.
Not just physical.
So parenting is physical, emotional, and spiritual. So it doesn't necessarily address all of the emotional needs. This is more from a spiritual aspect for sure. But whenever I look at this, and if I imagined a very authoritarian parent, they might read this and say, yeah, that's exactly me. I think you could do all these things. It says disciplining in love, but you can do all these things and still kind of miss the boat a little bit. It needs to be everything needs to be clothed in love for your kids. This you want to add to that, Trace, before we go on? So these traits of grown children, or these outcomes of parenting, or the goal of parenting that you guys have put down. Tracy and I have 3 kids. And as I look at these traits, I can honestly say that our kids, all 3 of our kids, meet most of these traits. They're great kids. They love the Lord. They're walking with the Lord. They married well. They're leading. They're living godly family lives. They're independent. They're responsible. They're hard workers. They love the Lord. They're just great kids. I'm not saying that because we're great parents. And I want you guys to be encouraged at the fact that we're pretty lousy sometimes. Not Tracy, but me. And in spite of all of the mistakes that we have made parenting, with God's grace and His help, your kids can still come out well. And so Tracy and I were kind of brainstorming on things that we have learned that have just actually really mattered to us and has made a difference as we have raised our 3 kids. And that's what I want to share with you guys. So the first thing I want you to get is the Bible speaks a lot about parenting, and go to His Word when you need help parenting. The next thing I want you to take note of is our cheat codes for parenting, our hacks, our parenting hacks. Tracy, you have to come close because you got to explain these. Okay, number 1.
Yeah, that's pretty important. We started this when they couldn't really even talk, and it just became, the more you do something, the more it becomes a habit. And oftentimes we would be late or tired and it wouldn't quite work, and all I wanted to do was our kiddos just to go to sleep, and it never failed. One of them, we're like, we have to play, and it's like, yeah, we do. And just very sweet moments that I remember as a mom, and I just encourage it. Time goes so quickly. They grow up before you know it, and the Bible is just so clear about the power of prayer. no matter how little they are.
And for us, that looked like in the bedroom, around one bed. I don't know who went to bed first, but everybody would gather around one bed. We'd all pray before we went to bed. Who said this already? Yeah, Riley, this is pretty good. I really think that if you discipline physically early, I was going to say 0 to 6, and Tracy was like, no, you can't spank a baby. So
I just
2
wanted
to
to
6.
clarify.
And it can be spanking, it could be squeezing the ear, and we had different ideas about what the rod looked like or what spanking looked like. Tracy was raised one way and I was raised a different way. But if you inflict physical consequences, physical pain as a consequence for misbehavior, not foolishness necessarily, but disobedience, whenever they willfully disobey. We did not, let me just say this, we did not physically punish our kids for foolishness when they knocked the glass off the table accidentally or when they screwed up because they're just kids. But that willful disobedience, I just firmly believe for us at work, if you address it when it's young, like toddler age, 2 to 6 years old, rarely, if ever, will you have to spank them or physically punish them when they're older. If you're diligent about doing it young. Sometimes it's necessary, but for us, that's how it worked out.
And I feel free to ask questions, please, and chime in, Andy and Luke and Megan. But I will say that the physical consequences for us, we had 3 children, they were different for each kiddo because each kiddo is going to respond to disobedience and correction differently than another one would. So just because one style or little physical consequence worked for one of them, it didn't always work for the next one or the next one. So part of that is also really, really understanding and learning your child's behavior and their personality.
And you have to discipline them until you break their will. And with some kids, it was like you raise your voice and then they're crying, and that was all it took. Other kids, it bordered on child abuse.
Sometimes you have a strong-willed kid that keeps escalating and escalating and escalating and escalating.
It's a challenge.
But I don't hear a lot of people say this, but it's just that early physical consequence really, really works for us.
Do you guys have any questions?
Yeah, what does that look like? Tracy was raised one way, I was raised another. She preferred using a wooden spoon, and I preferred using my hand, and different reasons.
Yeah, I also think I think we talked about this in marriage class maybe, but it's just super, super important as you're getting married or engaged and before you get married to talk about this because it matters. And I grew up in the South. I love the Southerners here. I love everybody else too, but the yes ma'am, no sir thing was a big deal, like where I grew up. Well, Mark grew up in the North where it was kind of almost sarcastic, and he's like, wow, why would we have our kids say that? That's almost kind of like we're making fun of them. And I was like, if we don't have them say that, we're going to get spanked. That's how I was. And so it was kind of a conflict when our kids were growing up. Like, do we have them say yes, ma'am, no, sir? Do we just have them say it when we take them down to Texas, when they're going to be around grandma and grandpa, or do we not? And so things like that, they seem kind of silly, but they are so important because you want to be a united front, in front of your kiddos. You want to agree. You want to come across that you're agreeing and truly agree. You don't just come across. But it's just really important because I grew up in most of you know my testimony, a very abusive home. And so physically spanking our children, I'm shaking as I'm saying it. It was really, really hard for me to do. Really hard. And I was terrified that I was going to do it out of the wrong motive. And a lot of times, I know that adage, just wait till your daddy comes home, but there was so much reason I had to do that because it just was so hard for me to do. So I can't remember where I was going with that, but anyway, talk about it. Make sure you're really communicating with your spouse, how you go forward with
Because there's,
discipline.
hugely different views on the methods of discipline. You know, like you're spanking with your hand. How could you use your own hand and strike your son with your hand? That is like, that directly ties it back to you. That is just inhumane. And I'm like, well, you can feel how hard you're spanking them, and there's nothing inhumane about it. The stick thing, it's like, rather than using your own hand,
It wasn't a stick.
a small wooden spoon,
It was a
it's
little
like,
spoon that had a
why
rabbit
would
on it.
you know, some people might think, why would you beat your,
It was a spanking spoon. But
children with a, anyway. Just different viewpoints on different methods.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a belt issue.
Mark, I got one quick,
Okay,
in our home, we had 4 boys. We chose not to use the hand, because, our reasoning was, we just didn't want, if we wanted to raise our hand, our kids flinched, or like that'd be kind of a sad day. But we had a board of education, so we had a spoon, and they had to get it. So that was like the designated thing.
My dad did that.
And that was, I think that was good for us, just so that everything didn't become an act of discipline. There was a designated spanking instrument. And then our philosophy was one smack, quick, and just make that first one count. You never get a soft one, and you're like, shoot, you gotta go for a second and a third. And then you just kind of lose track, and it can kind of get out of hand. So that's how we did. We had the board of education, one smack, make it hurt, and usually I would try to be the guy, but oftentimes Julie just had to be there, disciplinarian. So, but I agree with what you guys are saying.
another one, we won't talk about it too long, but relationship over rules. And first one's always hard because you're just so legalistic and you're trying to do everything right. But it's the same way in our relationship with Christ. Christ gives us grace and mercy. Yeah, relationship over rules.
I got a thought on that was really wonderful in our parenting experience. Sometimes your kid screws up, and they feel the weight of it already. And so oftentimes, you're just like, that's punishment enough. And so you have to kind of discern, like, is this a lesson that they've learned themselves in the end, or do I actually need to take this further to help them remember?
That's your kids take different levels of discipline to achieve that brokenness and that broken heart. And so you're looking at heart condition, you're looking at their response, and if you just had a hard set of rules that, hey, this action required this consequence, period, you would be doing your kids a disservice. But I would do everything to preserve relationship. And I think you guys know and understand, but even in the act of discipline, it's like after you break that heart, you're looking for reconciliation. And that time of reconciliation is pretty sweet.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Just real quick. You were talking about like the first months about praying together every night. How late did you do that? Like, how old were your kids when you stopped praying with them at night?
When they left the house. Yeah, when they left the house. We don't go over to Luke's and pray now.
I know, but I'm just curious. Like, I don't know how old your kids were when they got married, so I'm just curious if you kind
I mean, Luke, can you answer that? I can't remember.
I mean, I moved out at 18 because I was going to college and I was just working and stuff. So and it wasn't like we stayed in the house until we got married. But yeah, we were praying together every night until I left the house.
I'm pretty sure there was a time when we were dating and I came over to your house and we all prayed together. Obviously not in a bedroom
Yeah, and there was a big difference. There's a big age gap between Luke and his younger sister Addie. So even though Luke may have been out of the house, we still were praying with the ones that were still in the house. So
Yeah, my parents are the same way. I know that like if I were to head home, we'd be praying together.
Yeah, sweet.
He's praying together is a whole new idea for me, because I've literally never heard of praying together. So it's been like, you didn't have to pray on your own, but my family never got together to pray unless it was Thanksgiving.
Mm.
So,
you could be a trendsetter.
You could set the trend when you go home. Let me just skip back to marriage class. And this is a hugely important thing that you do with your spouse. And right now, it seems like the most natural thing in the world. And of course, when I find that one person I want to spend the rest of my life with, we are going to start every day praying together. But after you get married and after a little while, it seems like, guys, is for whatever reason, it's just a lot easier to pray with the men's group or pray with a buddy or pray whatever, and just obstacles come up, and it's very, very difficult to make it a habit to pray with your spouse. But it's a game changer. And I would just highly, highly encourage that you pray with your spouse in the mornings, apart from the kids. Be present. What's that mean, Tracy?
What do you think it means? All of us have different families and parents, but
Melina.
Be friends with your kids as you can. It's a simple way of saying it. Biggest thing I'm going to say is, I was homeschooled, and my dad worked from home. We did very little outside the house. I don't know my dad. So just being in the same space doesn't mean you're present.
exactly.
You need to have a relationship with the kids. Spend time with them, doing things with them. Don't just be like, oh yeah, we had dinner in the same room, and that's not enough. You have to have a relationship.
Great point, Caleb.
I would somewhat counter the wording of that. You shouldn't be your kid's best friend, because that it lowers your status. You're equal with them and your best buddies like that. You should be their parent, but you should seek to have a deep relationship with them. You should know them. You should invest in them. You should be there for them. But don't lower yourself down to the same status as they are. You're not their peer. You are in authority over them. So there are going to be points. In my opinion, it's like the same thing as like a boss. If you're a boss over people, you shouldn't be best friends with them. You should be their authority. You should still get to know them and invest in them. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to discipline, it's a lot easier to discipline somebody that's under you than to discipline a friend.
Can I add something to that?
Please.
It's actually not adding, it's kind of a counter, because I think like Jesus is my best friend, right? And I think that a relationship of a father and son should reflect a relationship with God and him when he's older, right? And I mean, this is just the way I think about it. Like now, just because that you have a relationship, you don't have to lower yourself to be your son's best friend, right? I think that there should be that relationship where your son feels like you're his best friend in the whole world. And I don't think that that has to be, like if you make a distinction, like I'm not your friend, I'm only here to discipline you, that can create problems. That's like, then you go out in the world and you're like, God is not my friend, he's only out to discipline me as well. So like I understand where you're coming from, but I also think that a father can give room for their son to be their best friend without compromising on discipline.
Cool. Audrey?
I would also like to say that this, like, behavior as a parent should start young as well. Because if you kind of realize later in life that, oh wow, I don't really have a relationship with my kid, and you start doing it when they're 12, that's not normal, and it actually can be one of the ways you provoke your child to anger by forcing them to do stuff with you. You know, like things that they don't enjoy, but you don't know what they enjoy because you don't know them very well. So like start that relationship
Come on, kids.
Very, very good point.
That's a great, great point.
Forming 13.
She basically said, start the relationship when they're young and not try to force it when they're older and trying to understand why you're all of a sudden trying to be present when you haven't been present when they were little.
I actually have a comment on that. In ministry, you just see over the years, the families that have fun when they're young, they will continue to have fun when they're older. And families that are like, oh, I gotta work now, yada, 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 and we'll have fun as a family. Our family will love hanging out later on in life. No, it never happens. If you don't have fun as a family and love hanging out when you're young, you can just loving hanging out and have fun with your family. That's a generalization, but that's.
We'll get together then, son. We'll get together then. What's,
I'd take that, Tom. And I think that that's a good comment for kind of everything that we're talking about right now. Is not even start when you have kids, but start before you have kids on yourself. Like, if you think, oh, I'll be emotionally regulated when I'm disciplining my child, when I have a child, obviously we all know that that's not going to happen. If you think, oh, I'll pray together with my spouse every night, but you're not praying alone at night, I don't know, would that would hold for you? And then, oh, well, I'll definitely, we're married, but we don't pray, but once we have kids, we'll pray. It's going to be harder. So I'm not saying it's impossible to change the course that you're on by any means, but I'm just saying we get tricked into thinking, oh, when this is different, then my behavior will be different. Oh, when this is different, then I'll change. And that's never the case. You really have to start where you are right now to prepare for that. And also just pray that God would reveal to you ways that he would have you grow right now so that you're ready for different seasons when they come.
Yeah, very good.
yeah, play with your kids, get down on the floor, get in on their level, take an interest in what they do. I played a lot of sports. I can't think of an away game that my parents did not drive to watch me play. Basketball and football, anyway. Golf, not so much. Baseball, not so much. But, take interest in your kids' lives. Go and support them. Be present. Any other comments on being present?
I just watched the Lance Matthews documentary. It was so sad. He just went off the rails on his dad. Like, in the documentary, you should watch it. It's really interesting. Because his dad was this famous dog sledder and lived for his dogs over Lance. And he says, he just goes off on a rant. He's like, when my dad was 80 years old, I bought my dad a fishing pole and I took my dad fishing. Like, what is wrong with my dad? Like, you gotta teach your kids how to go fishing. I don't even care if they want to go fishing. Dads are supposed to teach their kids how to. And he's just going off and like, his dad's still alive, you know. And he's in this documentary, just being like, my dad was too busy chasing dogs and hanging out with his dogs, and he had no time to take his kid fishing. And so that's like, I love that. Be interested in what your kids are interested in, but also be like, I want to have my kid that, like, maybe they're going to be good at baseball. So we tried baseball for a season. Okay, definitely not baseball. Maybe try something else. Maybe try something else. Maybe try construction. Maybe try art. Maybe try music. Just like try everything. Maybe try fishing. Maybe try hunting. You're just like, take your kids out and let them experience a ton of stuff. That's part of like train your child up in the way that they should go, not in the way